Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Wrestling Classic Justin here. We are back for the TWC show. I apologize. We missed an episode last week. I think it's maybe like the third ever time that I missed a week without having a show release, but I was out in California. I was doing the thing. That being said, I'm just going to start off by saying it right off the bat. Go follow ths.wrestling and that hashtag show on YouTube, ths.wrestling on Instagram, but that hashtag show on YouTube. I'll be dropping a whole bunch of videos with them. I was out in California for the LAX Fan Fest. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the pictures with some of the wrestlers I got to hang out with and see. The Godfather, Enzo Amore, Bret Hart, of course, Amber Nova, Penelope Ford, the Bunny, and I know a lot of you saw that Kelly picture and had a lot of questions about that as well. But that being said, I was out there for LAX Fan Fest. We recorded a whole bunch of content that will be releasing on that hashtag show YouTube channel. We released my top 5 draft picks, which I will reference to a little bit later. We made a video about Carmella's top 5 moments because you guys all know I love Mella and Mella's money. We talked about Owen Hart. We did top AEW pay-per-views and top AEW debuts. So that's what I've been busy doing. I need you guys to go, once again, follow that hashtag show on YouTube and follow ths.wrestling. Now that all of that sounded like an ad, we're going to get to the actual show. Before I introduce my co-host this week, I just want to let you guys all know I'm very fucking tired. I'm here with Santana and Nickie. Nickie's been here before. Santana, you were on the show, the last show we did when there was a
but it wasn't on video.
It wasn't on video. It was me, you, Jamari, and Kenneth.
Yep.
Nickie's back. Nickie called into the last show and said, "Yo," and then disappeared.
I forget about that. But I've also been on the show with Daniel, so let's not forget.
But you have been on the show with Daniel.
Yep.
I'm glad you guys are here for this week. I know it's a very last minute show, and we got to catch up on 2 weeks of wrestling. I want to blame Santana and Jamari for constantly talking about this Netflix show called Squid Game.
Why am I getting blamed
in our conversations? Because I stayed up till 6:30 in the morning.
I mean, that's your fault. Nobody
Squid Game
all at one time. We
Squid Game on episode 6 already. Stressed out of my mind for the old man.
Leave my granddaddy alone, okay?
Netflix ain't paying us. The Korean Squid Game producers aren't paying us, but I'm not one to hop on bandwagons or like hype up shit that everyone's talking about. But this show's fucked.
Yeah, red light, green light.
Yeah, it's fucked. That blew my mind. You know when they get, those are the best kind of shows. Like when they get you in the first episode and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is not how you play this game. It's not how I remember it.
Not. It's weird. But yeah, guys, that's why I might be a little tired today. And the Justin with the raspy smoked a pack of Marlboro cigarette sounding Justin comes from is when I'm tired or hungover or drunk. But we're here. How are you guys doing? How was the last 2 weeks of wrestling?
Eventful. It's a lot of things that were happening.
We had Grand Slams, we had drafts, we had
pay-per-views,
we had a
pay-per-view.
We had a lot going on in the course of 2 weeks. There was a lot that was happening.
What do you guys want to start with? I'm just gonna say this about Grand Slam really quick. Let's talk about AEW Grand Slam really quickly. I'm glad they sold out that arena. The crowd was live for it. Dynamite was dope. And Rampage started off cool and then just fell downhill as it went on. Can I ask, do you guys think them taping Rampage right after Dynamite is a little bit of a the crowd for that show seems a little bit dead because they've already sat through like 2 hours of wrestling?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, I eventually just kind of just sitting there watching. I mean, yeah, it's great you come to watch wrestling, but if it's a lot of wrestling going on, that can kind of that could really kill your energy. It's like going to a concert where the person you came to see don't come out till 2:00 in the morning, and you really just don't have no energy no more.
And it was pay-per-view style. Like it was 4 hours long because the Rampage last week was actually 2 hours as well. So they were sitting there for 4 hours.
Yeah, it's just like a regular pay-per-view sitting there. To be honest, sometimes it can be too much. But I mean, hey, unless you off something, then hey, you may find some energy some kind of way.
Do you guys have any favorite moments from those shows?
I would say that I did like.
I mean, it's always good to see Britt Baker. It's always good to see Britt Baker.
Yeah, and to see her defend the title and have her have a big match, like that's always a good. It's always a good thing to have, you know. How about you, Santana? Was there anything that stood out to you on those shows the most over other things?
I like Britt Baker and Britt Baker. Lord, why do I keep calling her Breaker? Jesus Christ, it's a lot going on there. And I liked her match with Ruby. I did like Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega's match. It was pretty good. It was very, very long.
Yeah,
but it wasn't bad long, but it was really a lot going on there.
Definitely. I just wish we could have seen more. I know Britt and Ruby were the main event, but that was it. You know, it would be nice to see, and not always have to watch Dark, even though Dark can put on a okay substance for the fans. I still just wish there was more inclusion with the women. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
That's where AEW is really like failing.
I will say from months ago though, from like 4 or 5 months ago, they're doing better at least having the women on the show. Because I remember there being episodes of Dynamite where there'd be like not a single women's match or segment, or they're just like a quick video package and be like, this is gonna happen with the women at some point, or like just a backstage promo with Britt Baker, and like that's all you got. I like that. It seems like I'm not 100% sure, but I like how it seems like they're at least trying to have, and they should have more. I agree, they should have at least 1 or 2 more, but they at least try to have a one women's match on the show where that wasn't even a thing months ago. Like whether it's featuring the whole Anna, Jade, Tay Conti versus the Bunny and Penelope, or if it's a Britt Baker, or it's Nyla, Jade, and Thunder, like they're trying to at least have one. They need to have like 2 or 3, maybe 2 on a show. Honestly, if Dynamite's 2 hours, you can have 2 women's matches on that show, right? 110%. Rampage, I kind of understand. But to your point you made in the past, they could have 2 women's matches and 1 men's match, and it's still the same thing. It could work out on Rampage.
Yeah, that's fine for Rampage. It doesn't always have to be, loaded with men. But I mean, you cater to your demographic, so you have to think about that too. I think they're doing a great job. And I
think like they're just, and this is why, like this is me saying they did something wrong, because they've been. I think I saw Chris Jericho post about it being like the 1 year or like the 1 or 2 year anniversary of Dynamite starting, I think 1 year. And I'm like, wow, and they've just started to develop the characters of their women on their show in the last 4 or 5 months. It's like just started. Like we're just getting to kind of really know Penelope and Allie and the Bunny and Jade properly and shit on the main shows. Otherwise, it was always happening on Dark.
True, because if you're not watching Dark, especially for the women, you're not gonna know, what's going on with Swole, or even at one point in time with Red Velvet and Jade, and it's good. I would have liked to see more come out of the feuds that they were potentially building with the Casino Royale, but it kind of fizzled out. So maybe it's just a slow burn in a sense. So I'm interested to see what happens with Nyla and Jade. And Thunder Rosa, because they
did have them have a triple threat on Rampage this week, which was, we talk about all the time, right? Jade has the presence, she has a look, she looks like she could run this fucking division, just a little green still, but like otherwise she has everything that she could use.
Yeah, she's still green in the ring to me. Like, I love Jade. Like I said, she does have that star power. Like, she has that dominance. When you look at her, you can't help but to look at this woman. Like, she has I'm that, like she says, I'm that bitch mentality. And when she stands and she comes out, like, all eyes are on her, whether she's in heel mode or whatever. Like, you can't help but to look at this woman. I just wish, and I wanted to match in the ring, because it feels like she's going off of 1-2 step, and she's trying to be careful with, everybody who she's in the ring with, I guess, because she knows her full strength. She knows the power that she has. And I think that she tries to be a lot careful. And I would like to see her get a lot more training in,
to your point, like none of us have wrestled like that. So we're not judging her on the fact like we know or anything, but it's like we as fans, we can see her and we're like, it looks like she's trying to be really safe with everybody and really like careful with everybody. And she's like counting the steps in her head, which we want to see her like just kick ass, and we want it to look brutal and we want it to look vicious. But it seems like she's holding back because she's not fully comfortable with that yet. Because let's be honest, like Nickie, you'll know for a fact too, like most of Jade's matches on Dark and stuff too are always kind of like a minute or 2 minutes long.
Squash. They're very squash. And they're done to be like, they're very promotional, if that makes sense. There's something that it's like, oh, look at this talent. Well, what in the hell are you going to do with her? That's what we were questioning for so long. We're just honestly now getting to see Jade in an element of even being featured on Dynamite or Rampage, being featured in a feud, not just cutting a promo, not just talking. We were getting glimpses of her. That's fine. But when you have someone of that caliber physically, I just feel like they should be used in a different light, especially in a promotion that I feel like goes incredibly with what Jade is and this phenom. She is remarkably, she looks like one of the most athletic. What I agree with Santana is it needs to cross over more in the ring. Not that it's not. It just needs to be done in a different manner, and that doesn't mean squash match after squash match. It means feuding, and it means attacking, and it means let's get brutal. Let's turn up the heel a little bit, so.
And she never got the opportunity that some wrestlers get when they get signed to the WWE to go through that system, that development system, to like really hone their craft, wrestle some dark matches when NXT's on the road and stuff. Like AEW doesn't have house shows. AEW doesn't have really a developmental system. And she didn't come in here with, even a year or two of independent wrestling experience. This is like learning on the go for her. So I think it will give her time, but I think she definitely has the presence and everything that is a future AEW Women's Champion for sure. Speaking about women in AEW, though, let's talk about someone who vividly has the fans turning on him. And his wonderful wife decided to return this week as well because, they're promoting their show Roads to the Top. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes and Malakai Black and Brandy Rhodes and everybody's favorite this week, Mr. Glock Anderson. First things first. The match was dope. There was a lot of stuff going on at the finish that was Arn Anderson falling off the apron, unfortunately. And I really, let me ask you guys this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't hate Brandy. I like Brandy and I like Cody. I don't really, they do come off as heels to me. It's really hard for me to see them as baby faces. Like I look at Cody Rhodes and I see Homelander from The Boys. Like that's who he is to me. But I understand the whole concept of Brandy distracting Malakai enough so Cody can jump him, but the whole rolling in the ring, sitting there and giving him the middle fingers, something about that was just so cringe to me. Is that just me?
No, it was very cringy. I didn't understand it. It's not, I don't even think that's really her character, honestly, especially the first time I heard her go off on Jade and call her a heifer. I was like, this is not how we address women. What are we back in the 1950s, 60s or something where we're using that type of slang? Like absolutely not. I was just like, I don't know what it is about Brandy. I don't too much care for her at all whatsoever. Cody, I don't care for him either. I just want him to get rid of this blonde hair. I hate it a lot. I really do. With the match and whatnot, I wouldn't say that it was bad because, of course, I'm a fan of Malakai and whatnot. But it was a lot that was happening that could have been left out. They could have just had an actual match and not with all these other interferences happening. Like Brandy's point of being there, I mean, I guess, like you said, to promote the show, but she just stayed on the side, and that's it.
I don't understand Cody having to come out there with a whole entourage. He doesn't need Arn and Brandy and like so many people. Like pick one. If you want your wife out there, that's cool. It makes sense. She's your wife. But if you want your coach out there, have your coach. It just gets too crowded and messy.
Well, and I also feel like there's a different way to promote whatever you have going on outside. My thing is with those two, I could care less of what they have going on. I think the gimmick is very cliche. It's sometimes we steer the boundaries of cultural appropriation in a sense with some of the things that Brandy and Cody have both done. So, and I think that's
Cody saved
also
racism.
shown in the show where things weren't going over the way they wanted it to go over. With the whole segment, I think that Aleister Black, and I could be going on a limb with this, but I want to see something else. I don't know what's going on with him in AEW.
I also think the issue is, Nickie, is that Cody obviously has projects outside of AEW. I was about to say WWE, almost pulled the JR, but Cody has projects outside of AEW, and he leaves. That means he leaves. And the problem is, anytime he's feuding someone and he leaves, what happens is whoever he's feuding either has nothing to do or they're beating up the rest of the Nightmare family. And it gets like either Cody needs to be here for this feud or Malakai should be feuding someone that's present. Because Malakai needs to be feuding, and I think that's the issue. I think once we get past this Cody thing, hopefully Malakai feuds a CM Punk or someone else that's more present, and they can sink their teeth into it. Because Cody leaves, and then it's just Malakai cutting promos or beating up QT Marshall and Lee Johnson and Dustin Rhodes. Like, and then not even that, he's having competitive matches against him. Where it's like, no, he should just be kicking their heads off, waiting for Cody instead of like having a competitive match against Lee Johnson and Dustin Rhodes. And the point why I think also fans are booing Cody is like, if Malakai is technically the bad guy, why are you coming out here with an entourage of people distracting him and stuff as the good guy? And how is it that you and Brandy are supposed to be like the cool people, but the coolest guy in the group is Glock Anderson, who called you a loser?
It's not clicking. It's not clicking. You know, it's not making any sense. Like, who is the real bad guy? At this point, it's looking like Malakai is the good guy and you are the bad guy. Like, even
well, and that's what I think that AEW doesn't understand, where some of these people that are coming over from other promotions have already been so over. So when they're heels and then you put them in feud with someone who, it doesn't matter what Cody's doing, some fans just don't support, I would say, nonsense that comes out of his mouth. And to that point, when you put him up against someone who has been so over in wrestling, think about the days of AJ Styles. Like, this man was so over in wrestling, not even in just a promotion. Malakai Black is over in wrestling. So you can't expect, when you put them to someone who is maybe not necessarily a fan favorite, but has a significant amount of fans, but you put them up against someone who is currently over, you can't expect anything that's going to be like, I think they need to do better with Aleister Black as a whole.
And I think, we spent a lot of weeks, at least I know I have on this show, like pumping up AEW for the things they've done good, and they're still doing really good, don't get me wrong. But we've talked about a couple of things they haven't been doing so great with, and that is the women's division, but they're trying to. And now we're talking about their lack of, like, I understand that everyone's kind of coming up with their own stuff and coming up with ideas and pitching them to Tony, and Tony's like, yes, run with this, run with that. But they don't have, and I'm not saying get a creative team, because I'm anti-creative team too, but you should have like a nucleus of people. But like, there needs to be someone that does have the balls to be like, yo, you know what? Like, no disrespect, but like, that doesn't make sense. Because I feel like sometimes they let things happen and they don't make sense. And that's like, is there nobody back there that's like kind of like, not to like make anybody mad, but how does that make sense? Like, I feel like everyone's trying to be friendly, not stepping each other's toes. Like, no, that's his person's thing. Let him worry about his thing. I'm gonna worry about my thing. And Tony can make the final say on whatever. But like, the stuff there sometimes, it just doesn't fucking make sense, and it drives me insane, because I'm like, this is all so good, and then now it's like the fact, like, I found it really funny. CM Punk was on commentary this week, right? And he's feuding Team Taz, but his whole, I feel like him on commentary being who he is, like, he was dissing a lot of things, just being like the funny CM Punk commentator, but it's stuff that like actual fans think about. He's like, like Cody Rhodes' entrance thing, I wonder how much money they paid for that long entrance. Or he would make jokes like, well, nobody's gonna attack me out here this week because my Lloyds of London contract. For those that don't know, the Lloyds of London contract was a situation back in the early 90s where a bunch of wrestlers took this insurance policy through Lloyds of London that paid them more than their contracts, where if they said they were injured, they'd get paid to be sitting out injured. and still get paid from the WWE. And then like that's why Mr. Perfect was like a manager in 1990, 91 instead of wrestling in the ring and stuff. And Rick Rude stopped wrestling because they were all on this Lloyd's in London contract. But it had like weird like sub clauses where like you can't wrestle singles matches, but you can wrestle tag matches. You'll still be covered by your insurance and stuff. So all night long, Punk's just like, oh, I'm not going to attack with my Lloyd's in London. Oh, I would have ran down there, but my Lloyd's in London. But then he's also slightly dissing the Elite, dissing Adam Cole. You know, Adam Cole sounds like one of those people that would listen to his own theme song at the gym. And it's like he's calling out the little flaws. And I've listened to him enough on podcasts and stuff where he knows there's issues here too. And he's like, I hope guys will like maybe watch my matches and know like it's okay to slow things down or not pull everything out on every match because they have those issues like that. But it's like it's crazy how everyone's like indirectly saying the things, and you have all these legends and veterans there, but no one's actually saying anything because I feel like they're just happy to get paid and be there. And it's like they just need someone there to be like, hey, that's stupid. By the way, you know, am I wrong?
Definitely. CM Punk on commentary. It reminds me of back when he was in WWE and he took that time where he would come out and they'd have him do commentary and whatnot. And he was really almost what I think of Pat McAfee a little bit. He was always funny, just saying whatever is on his mind and didn't care. He was doing what the other commentators don't do. They don't keep it, interesting and whatnot. They kind of just call the match the way it is instead of just giving us some type of realistic things that we're all probably sitting there watching on TV or sitting there live asking or thinking about or something like that.
No, 100%. And like I think he has less of so the way Pat McAfee, we feel like with Pat McAfee too, where they have less control over what they say, like they have more freedom with their commentary. But obviously, everyone in AEW has freedom, but like on WWE side, it always seems like Pat McAfee's like more. What happened with the WWE commentary for a bit, where it seemed like almost everybody was like miniature Michael Coles. Like they were trained by Michael Cole, they talk like Michael Cole, and like it was just a bunch of Michael Coles. When now like Pat's like different. Like Morrow was a little bit different. Originally, Corey was a little bit different, but now he's also starting to just sound like Corey. But I think Punk is like that too. How do you guys feel now that we're like weeks from All Out and everything? How do you guys feel about those three? Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, and CM Punk. How do you think they're doing right now? What is your thoughts on them? Like Bryan's been wrestling and having great matches. Cole is over as fuck. But I'm just gonna say it here, and I've said it a million times. Adam Cole, when he's just with himself doing his thing, cool. Adam Cole, when he's with the Elite, there's something like it brings him down a little bit in my mind personally. And then CM Punk seems like he's just working with a bunch of young talent, but is kind of directionless in a way. What do you guys think?
I have no comment on CM Punk. But I think Adam Cole is, I mean, Santana, didn't you say you would kick his ass? Did you not say that?
Of course that's what I fight.
Okay, so there it is.
I like him. I like him.
There it is. But to my point on Adam Cole, I think at the end of the day, Adam Cole is at the, if we're comparing all of them in a sense, as big as CM Punk came in, I still don't think that he came in like Adam Cole. There was no sense of like I feel like everyone was very expecting to the CM Punk thing. Maybe not the location, maybe not the
surprise of Adam Cole was more of a surprise.
But with the Adam Cole, especially we just saw him on NXT. For anyone out there that loves NXT, he was the black and gold brand for a very long time. He had just did a press conference a couple months ago with Cross stating that he would, be there and have longevity. And now here we are, and he's in AEW, and it's still, the difference is that this man hasn't even peaked. Like, and not saying that CM Punk has, because whatever, he's up in age.
No, I feel like he's like the veteran though. He's not the young guy. Adam Cole's in his prime. To your point is what you're trying to make. Adam Cole's in his prime.
But
Bryan Danielson's like in the late part of his prime. CM Punk seems like he's the old veteran there working with the young guys. And there's a part of CM Punk since he's been back. And to your point, Adam Cole's was the biggest surprise. So we were somewhat expecting CM Punk, and we were expecting Bryan Danielson. Mm-hmm. When Adam Cole came out, I was like, oh shit, he's actually here too. Like everyone just expected Bryan to come out. Also, that being said, Bryan and Adam Cole have done a really good job of like integrating themselves into like the roster, where sometimes, and I'm the biggest CM Punk fan, he's in my top 10 favorites all the time. It's like there's this part of the show and there's CM Punk, and it's like this whole separate part of the show, and then there's the rest of the show. Like he just seems like this whole separate, like he's not like integrated into it. Like Adam Cole's in and he fit right in with the Elite. As much as I sometimes feel like I love the Young Bucks, I love Adam Cole and I love Kenny Omega all separately, I sometimes feel like the Young Bucks just make everybody around them silly and goofy. But when they're not around the Young Bucks, they're serious. And when Kenny Omega came out and cut that promo without the rest of the Elite against Bryan Danielson, I was like, that's a serious Kenny Omega. When Kenny Omega's with the Young Bucks, he sometimes just in the background and he's goofy and he's silly. Not a diss on the Young Bucks, because I do like the Young Bucks, but I do feel like when you're around the Young Bucks, it's all kiss on the cheeks, goofy, silly shit, and it takes away from your seriousness. The beauty about Adam Cole, though, is he went through the NXT system, and he just seems a little bit more crisp and a little bit more seasoned than the guys that just worked on the independents. That's not a diss on them either. They just never had that WWE, like, when Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, John Moxley, when those guys that all went through the WWE system come out, there is something about them where you're like, oh, they know what the fuck they're doing. Whereas sometimes when the independent guys come on, you're kind of like, oh, they kind of still feel really fucking indie. And that's not a diss. It's just they never went through that system. It's okay with the younger guys like Flying Brian and MJF and stuff because they're learning right now. But the other guys got really comfortable with indie. Is that wrong?
No, but especially with Moxley, because as soon as he got there, it was like skyrocket. Now to that point, I feel like I know we've talked about this. We've talked about this on Clubhouse. Another person that they've also kind of skyrocketed to a championship, which was failed, was Ruby Riott. My question, since we're on AEW and the women's division, is what's up? Like,
what's so great about her?
No, like I mean, I'm saying what's up with Ruby? Like, what's next? Like, what?
I think you said something, and I didn't think about it until you said it. And Santana, tell me if you agree with what Nickie said. She said, I think the only reason that people are hyped about Ruby Riott is because she came from the WWE. It wasn't because she was like really anything special, you said. Like she wasn't like a big deal in WWE. Just because she came from there, she got shot to that point. Do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, like when she was in WWE, yeah, when she came in with the Riot Squad and whatnot, she had something. Even when she was down in NXT and I went back and watched, she was on her singles run. She had her little moments there in NXT, and she had some pretty, good matches in WWE when she got to the main roster and started doing singles matches or even just being, a part of the whole faction and whatnot. And, I feel like, as Nickie say, like, I mean, it wasn't that big of a significance in WWE. And for her to come over to AEW, I just feel like a lot of people are showing sympathy to her because she got released and because
they felt like she was mistreated or something.
Basically. So that's how it is. So now it's like, since all that is over with, she's with AEW, she's already faced, she won the Casino Battle Royal. She already faced Britt. What's next for her? Is she gonna go down to AEW Dark, Elevation? Is she gonna start being on Rampage, or is she gonna be on Dynamite? Who she's gonna feud with next? Because I mean, she's already lost her chance with getting the title and whatnot. So it's like, what are they gonna do with her now? Like, are they gonna put her in the back burner? Are they gonna give her squash matches, on Dark or Elevation, or what exactly are they gonna do with her now?
No, and it's true. It's like they did what they.
Because I haven't seen her in a minute.
Next. Like the shine's kind of already off her compared to the other people that came.
It is. It's not like nobody's checking for her, asking, where's Ruby Soho? She's not here tonight. I haven't seen her. No, everybody's focus was on Nyla and Jade and Thunder Rosa's triple threat match. That was really, really good. I really just hope I really was rooting for just having it Nyla and Jade. But those, I just want to see them two in the feud, because I mean, they started at the Casino Battle Royal and it should have been them. I know they attacked Thunder Rosa and whatnot, but still, I just feel like Nyla and Jade could put on a banger together. I don't know. Ruby just, I mean, it's just really all seeing like what's next they're going to do with her. And honestly, it looks like it's not anything right now, but who really knows? I mean, she's not on the match card for this coming Wednesday. Are they done with the whole match card on Wednesday for the 1 year anniversary?
I know they have the Casino Battle Royal. I mean, the Casino Ladder match, which has like Pac and Moxley. And,
yeah, but that's for the men. What about the women?
I
What
don't
do we
think
have
there's
for
anything
women?
there. Yeah, I'm just trying to like, just if people are
Because
curious.
I haven't seen anything that showcased them. I've only seen the stuff that they have for the men and whatnot.
Yeah, but for those curious, it's Pac, Orange Cassidy, Andrade, Moxie, Matt Hardy, and Lance Archer, and a Joker who we don't know what
Yeah,
that's going to
so
be. But
who
for the
knows?
women, nothing yet.
Okay, so
Probably.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even see any of those many matches announced for them. Oh, the only 2 matches announced even for the men is that ladder match, and then obviously we can quickly talk about it because I did just before we talk about the young guys, because I do want to say a bunch of things about the young guys in AEW, and then we're gonna move on to the draft. First things first, the opposite of the young guys, Sting. That Sting and Darby match against FTR is fucking dope, but I think we really got to give credit to just how good FTR is, because they were bumping and made Sting look like he was fucking 40, 30 years old again, when that man is 61 years old. Like, they made Sting look good. That was probably, I know that match with Scorpio and Ethan Page at the pay-per-view was really good, but this was just as good, and these guys made Sting look fucking amazing. And Sting winning and Darby winning in front of that crowd's cool. FTR will bounce back, but I really need FTR to bounce back in that tag title picture. If you guys, do you guys have anything to say about that, or you just agree?
I agree. I mean, like, I'm a fan of Darby Allin. I do like what the fuck is FTR? FTR? I'm trying to make sure I'm saying people's names right. You know, I'm known for messing up the name.
Sting and Darby. I love that because I just feel like it is a way of and you know that I have a issue sometimes with the men who are over the age, like Goldberg, that come back and, you know, try to do things. The one pass that I will give it to, well, I give it to Chris Jericho too, because I just feel like he's so legendary. But to Sting, I feel like Sting does something that is appropriate. And he doesn't try, like, he really has his hands in AEW in a different manner. And to see him with Darby Allin is such a, it's needed, if that makes sense. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it.
Titles and shit, you know? Yeah. He's not overstepping. He knows his boundaries and he's playing within it.
Okay, let's not do this. Okay, because I know exactly who you talking about, who you going for. We're not doing it. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not gonna do this.
That man lost.
Moving on, I do love FTR. Sting's one of my childhood favorites. And I do like Darby, but moving on from that, really quickly, I don't even really want to talk about this, but I just feel like we need to mention it because it is something cool that they're doing. Ethan Page cut a hell of a promo. One of these shows, I forget which one it was, but he cut a hell of a promo. Shout out to Ethan Page. I do kind of like what they're doing with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky against Jericho and Hager. It's not my favorite thing on the show, but I appreciate the fucking effort. And getting the UFC stars involved is pretty cool, even though some of the stuff looks like, I mean, Massa Devil or whatever his name is, his knee looked dope. Some of the punches from Paige Van Zant were kind of weak. Like, lay them in, like, they can handle it, just do it, it's okay. But I like it. It's something for those people out there that probably are loving it because they're UFC fans, and I like it. I don't love it, but I'm enjoying it, if that makes sense. I just want to touch on that because I feel like I like Ethan. I grew up a Jericho fan. I think Scorpio's fucking dope and deserves all the opportunities he can get. But other than that, like, I just want to touch on that. The only other last thing I want to touch on with AEW before we get into all the fucking crazy shit that's happening in WWE, because WWE's actually been pulling their fucking weight in the last couple of weeks with a bunch of shit. But before we get there, is just, I love what they're doing with the younger guys. We saw MJF versus Flying Brian. We have MJF cutting great promos on a weekly basis, and this week he cut a promo about the 4 pillars of the young stars in AEW, and he said it was him, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin. Those are the 4 pillars, which is, it's kind of true. Like, those are the homegrown AEW talent. We saw Sammy Guevara defeat Miro to become the new TNT champion. I'm happy about that. Personal opinion, wish Miro beat him once and we led to a pay-per-view where Sammy finally got that moment. But cool moment on a Brody Lee tribute show. So that was dope. We had Jungle Boy in the ring with fucking Adam Cole in a banger. Like, if you guys haven't already, go check 1:37 p.m. I wrote an article about my dream rivalries for CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson, and one of them was Adam Cole and Jungle Boy. So to get that match was a treat. I also wrote an article about WWE villains. Check that out too. But that all being said, like, the young stars are actually being featured here in a prominent way. Now we're looking like we're leading into a Darby and MJF feud, which is also really dope. How do you guys feel about all the young stars? How do you feel about Sammy, MJF, Jungle Boy, and Darby Allin?
I would have to say that I'm really happy that that is something that AEW is doing, is showcasing the young talent that's actually been there, putting in the work, actually showing up and doing what they are supposed to do each and every week. You know, giving great promos, giving great matches and stuff like that. And I just feel as if like that is going to keep people watching to see what's going to happen next and see how they align the new guys with three seasoned people who's like CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson. So I feel as if like they continue to have that going on. I feel like it could lead to something really, really great, you know. But what I do want to say is that I know that when we have like the whole Sammy and Bobby Fish thing, I just really want them to just give us a little bit of taste of the Undisputed Era, having Bobby Fish and Adam Cole kind of cross paths some kind of way backstage or something. That is what I'm looking forward to on Wednesday, and I hope it does happen. I do hope it does. I don't know how. I don't
How
know.
heartwarming would it be if the show started with like Adam just like waiting at the door for Bobby and like knowing that he's not gonna be the one, but they just like embrace and it's like, welcome to AEW, and it's just like a moment, and then they
Yeah.
probably even cross paths again the rest of the show, but just for that moment, it's Adam Cole being like, "What's up, dude? Welcome to AEW." Like it's just like cool, and Adam can do that and then go back to being
Or
like it doesn't
or
even matter.
Bobby may not embrace him because he left.
Plant seeds for something for the future.
Exactly. So
Right? Like
who
this
knows how that goes? I mean, Adam got the elite behind him. Who does Bobby Fish have behind him?
Tony, give us what we want. Tony, give us what we want. Well, how do you feel about the youngsters, Nickie? And also, guys, like don't forget, like I know because it happened a week ago, it's forgettable. Like they even did a really good job at spotlighting Flying Brian, I think, with that short mini feud with MJF as well. And he's one of those young stars that are, you know, one of the young stars. And Punk working with Will Hobbs is a big deal too. That's one of their young stars. So like, how do you feel, Nickie, about AEW's using the young stars properly?
I love it, and I think what it showcases is a different size that we sometimes don't see in other promotions. We see different men from a different caliber, from a different experience, and it, like I said, it speaks to the demographic. The one thing that AEW does well, and sometimes this hurts them for fans like me who expects women's wrestling to be more content, i.e. Monday Night Raw has been doing a fabulous job with the women, which is crazy. But I think to that point, I like to see it. But when you speak to just your demographic, it hurts sometimes because you want to make sure you're expanding in a different market, in a different realm. But I do think they do a well job with the young men that come in, and it showcases very different calibers of wrestling. So
I think to your point, one thing, but to your point, they do it with the women. It's just it's on fucking dark and shit. Like do it on the fucking national televised shows.
You do it, but you don't do it when you have the marketing for other expansions or other promotions. Let's think about this. How many times have we seen the Impact Wrestling champion? That's a man. That's a man, right? But how many times has Deanna come over? You know?
Yeah.
What's the issue? How many times have, you know, they're just...
I mean, but that whole TNA AEW relationship's a fucking sham. Let's just be real here.
Yeah, it is. I mean...
It's a one-sided relationship. It's a forbidden door for
it very much is. But to the point, it is they are young. And I know I'm a little harder on than I am any other promotion because I do feel like
expect a little bit more from the women. Like, I'm a little satisfied because I'm like, at least we're getting Anna Jay and Penelope and
but we watch Dark.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I feel though, like I do agree though, like on Dynamite, like because like when we talk about WWE, and we're gonna talk about WWE in a couple minutes here, like you will see how excited I get about their women's division because I always get like I'm always like, what's gonna happen with the women's division? Like I'm always like, where's Becky gonna go now? Like I get excited about because they're so established and they've showcased them to us so well over the years. I love the WWE's women's division. I don't dislike the AEW women's division. There's a lot of women that work there that I'm friends with that I wish were doing more. It just they don't feature them enough for me to be like I know that Anna faced Penelope and I know that Bunny faced Tay and I know that they had a tag match. But I can't tell you on what show what happened. but I know those 3 things happen, and that tells you something. You know what I mean? And I know those 3 happen because, like, you know, like I like all those women too, but I can't tell you what shows those happen on. Like, which one happened on what show? I don't remember. I think Penelope and Anna was Rampage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think Penelope and Anna's was on Rampage.
Yeah.
And I think the Bunny and Tay was on Dynamite.
Okay, and then they had a tag match this week.
It was on Dynamite. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
The tag match this week on Dynamite, and then there was a triple threat for the women. But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's also like 1 match per show, and it's like you can do more than 1 match per show for the women. So I 100% agree. Definitely. But all the shit talking aside from AEW, the last couple of things I just want to touch on is shout out to Tony and everybody that put together the entire Owen Hart relationship. When now we'll be getting Owen Hart merchandise, he'll be featured in the video games and all of that. Like, I think that's super cool. Anyone that is like, why wouldn't they do this with WWE? This is another job to WWE. If you haven't watched The Dark Side of the Ring, Martha is not very fond of Vince McMahon and the WWE and how they handled the entire death of Owen Hart and how it happened in the fucking first place. So that's why he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to, you know, be a WWE property for them to make money off of. AEW did in a way where the money is going to, you know, support the Owen Hart Foundation. They're going to host a tournament, like an Owen Hart Cup tournament, which is going to be super cool. And I just think it's, as someone that grew up watching that wrestling, a big Owen Hart fan, a Canadian, a big Hart family fan, like fucking, I thought it's super cool to see Owen Hart be, you know, remembered this way. And I just hope the people that win the tournament are people that are like, you know, an MJF or a Sammy or like someone cool, not like, you know, no disrespect, I love him, he's fucking dope. I don't need Orange Cassidy win the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Like, you know, like I want it to be like a legitimate, like a G1, like the best wrestler wins that tournament situation. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's really cool that AEW did that. And also just there was an announcement that there's the beginning, and this is kind of AEW related, but not AEW related, but obviously they're promoting it because they're, you know, that was the last place Brody Lee was, but they also started a foundation where they're going to be trying to help out people that have creative aspirations and want to do things that are a little unorthodox, but, you know, deal with a lot of family problems or financial struggles because of family issues and other inner, you know, stuff that, you know, doesn't help them get to where they want to be. It's kind of, I think it's going to kind of be like a scholarship or something in that term, or like mentorship or something, but check out the Brody Lee Foundation as well. I mean, I could sit here and read you guys the press release if you want, but, you know, you can find it on my Instagram page. Go to the Wrestling Classic and check it out. I think both those things are super cool. Owen Hart working with AEW, I think this is open to a whole bunch of little kids and those people in that 18 to 34 demographic that are going to play that video game and finally get to play as Owen Hart or get Owen Hart action figures. And it puts a good spotlight on probably one of the best wrestlers of the 90s, in my opinion, to be honest. And the Brody Lee stuff's fucking dope too. And they were in Rochester this week and they dedicated, and that's Brody Lee's hometown, so they dedicated the show to him, and that's super cool to see all that as well. And yeah, do you guys think Bray Wyatt's gonna come lead the Dark Order?
He could be that Joker.
He could be the Joker. No,
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not.
You froze.
I think it'll be too personal for
Nashville, so I want him to go to Impact.
You want him to go to Impact?
Well, they kind of been in talks about it. Like,
yeah,
coming to Impact. Actually, I did see something on there that said that they've been in talks about Bray Wyatt and potentially a family member.
I just feel like he could do something with Decay and Rosemary and Crazy Steve and people like that. Like he could really, and I think Abaddon should go from AEW to Impact since we're talking about the connection, because I just feel like
she would be perfect.
She would be perfect in that realm, even if she's not working with Rosemary. Things could happen. I think
she's not even on TV. Is she on Dark, Abaddon?
She hasn't been in a while, and she was one of the, like, when they started doing the Dark, she was one of the ones that was like consistent. I don't think she resonated with the crowd as much, but she would go over an Impact immediately.
And we are in it, and we were saying this before, and I'm going to say it again. And as much as I was hyped about Cole, Punk, and Bryan, like there still is truth to the fact that not everybody can go to AEW, and they have. The reason why the men are so heavily featured on these shows, and I'm not trying to give them an out, but I understand a little bit of it, is because they have so many men on their roster that people want to see. And it's like, how about we stop? Like, we don't even know what Andrade is doing half the time, and that was like a big deal at one point. Now it feels like an understatement compared to like Punk, Bryan, and Cole. You know, Malakai almost does, but he's kept himself very separate from everything else that's still playing off. But it's if you keep hiring guys, how are you gonna make them all feel important? Like I can't tell you. Listen, no disrespect, been a fan of him since a kid. I can't tell you how like much I don't care about Matt Hardy and his group. Like I can't. And I like Private Party, and I like the Butcher and the Blade.
I like them. Well, to your point though, they're awesome for dark. Like they're amazing. That's what I say. Like there's nothing wrong with like having the balance out with men and women. Like they do great for dark, and even if they do feuds with the Acclaimed, like there's so much chemistry there between them. I just feel like.
Yeah, I think to really be an AEW fan, you need to commit to AEW and watch everything.
Absolutely.
And that's hard when you have to watch WWE too. Now let's get to WWE. There's a lot to talk about. Business is booming again. The boss is back. We got draft picks going on.
Let's get to the real thing. Excuse me.
Before we get to all that, no, Nikki, I need to give you the floor because I wanted you on the show 2 weeks ago and you weren't here. So before we get to all the fun stuff, like my girl Sasha being back, your girl Charlotte standing tall, all the good, fun, positive stuff that's been going on, the Hurt Business is back there. We need to talk about how Nikki feels about NXT.
Okay, I should have brought my championship here. I should go grab it. I should. But I want to say this.
We can go to whip on her Glock. Okay.
I just want to. Sasha. She hasn't even been drafted yet. Let's calm down. I'm not even going to get to the first round draft pick, Charlotte Flair, the 12-time champion, her damn self. But let's get into NXT. The best thing they have going on right now for their women's division is Mandy Rose. This is different. We've never seen Mandy in this light. So I'll start from the beginning to the finish. Okay. 2.0 premiere to me was horrible. As a fan, as someone who has watched the Black and Gold brand for years, the best thing to happen was Tommaso Ciampa. I still don't understand why Raquel Gonzalez is the champion. I think that should be debut show. I think that should have been Frankie Monet.
Okay.
Like that should have been, since it wasn't Dakota, obviously. Raquel doesn't need a championship. She is a pretty dominating force to where I would be surprised if she's not a draft round pick, even as a title holder, because I mean, anything is possible. What I will say is
now on SmackDown with the North American title, so go ahead.
To that point, yeah. you just don't know. And I also think I don't think the move for Hit Row to main roster was that smart. They could have dominated NXT. There was nothing. I'm not a huge fan of them together, or separately for that matter. Because I really don't know much about them. It is amazing to see a black faction together. I just don't want them to get fumbled in the pieces of main roster, or however you want to put it. And I think what they were doing in NXT was okay. The episodes have gotten better over the weeks. I love what they're doing with Hayes and Trick. I think that's amazing. I love seeing Tommaso Ciampa as champion. I just believe that if we're going to continue on at least a piece of what was built, which I don't see, don't let Tommaso drop to just any, like, I'm not saying that these people are just newcomers, but from a marketing standpoint, this was the way that these newcomers were brought in. That was horrible. There was nothing. There were nothing. The way y'all spent time on Eva could have been spent on other people. I'm just saying, like we saw how many weeks of Eva, and then she comes and
yeah, they prepped us.
Whatever the hell she's doing. So it's almost like
you got beat up by Shayna.
I don't give a shit about that.
Poor girl.
My thing is you could have introduced these people in a different light, or even in a newbie battle royal or newcomers battle royal or something. The only one that y'all are doing great with, and I'm gonna butcher the name, but I don't want to. Is it Lash
Legend?
Lash Legend.
I will say this though. I don't want to cut you off, but I do think they're doing okay with Braun Breaker, even though his name's stupid. And I do think they're doing okay with Odyssey Jones being like this guy they're introducing slowly from the breakout tournament that's like beating the shit out of people.
Okay. I think they're doing good with like just staying afloat. Like
no, that's fair.
I don't think that I think Raw has been the better show, and I think that's what's crazy.
If Raw's been better than NXT, there's a fucking problem there.
The hottest thing that we have going on right now with the WWE, in my opinion, is Bobby Lashley and Big E for the past weeks or so.
Before we move on though, do you have anything you want to say about NXT 2.0, Santana?
I mean, of course, I like looking at my baby daddy Pete Dunne. I ain't looking at him, of course. But I will say, honestly, as I choose to ignore the loud colors that they have going on right now and actually take time to look at the product of what they put on with NXT, it's really not that bad. Honestly, it's just the colors.
It's the environment. The environment makes
just the bad. Colors. It's a different demographic. Like back then, there was a bunch of like college students and whatnot. Now it's a bunch of 30-year-olds who just sit there and look.
Go up with the piece on their hands, yeah.
Very much. I mean, yeah, we see a few young people in their 20s, or maybe they have. I don't even think they have kids there. I don't even have kids there. I don't even see kids there anymore. But it's very different with the crowd. It's different with the setup. The setup is nice. I do like it, and it's just the colors for me. But as far as like the actual show wise, it's not that bad as how I'm looking at it. I'm getting introduced to a lot of new people that I've never seen before, never knew about at all whatsoever. But however, Lash Legend, she caught my eye. Like,
well, that's not Wendy Williams to you guys. It's not a. It's not
no,
a
she's not. No. Disrespectful. Don't do that.
I mean, Twitter agreed with me. You guys strongly.
But that's what happens. It's almost breaching the line of. Mm-hmm. Cultural appropriation, because at the end of the day, you're comparing her to just another black.
But isn't that kind of like even they really do kind of like try to stereo? They do with the Indians.
They do. I mean, they
There's
do.
No reason that Jinder Mahal needs to be wearing a turban. Like, he's not a turban guy.
I feel like that's the only thing that people compare her to, because that if she was doing the same thing that Wendy was doing on her show, it would be the same. Mm-hmm. But she's not. It's not. It's really something that we've literally never gotten to see in a light of in the WWE. Especially.
Is it not kind of like a moment of bliss though? She's got it.
No, we never had a black woman have her own show at all either.
No, that's true.
And she's literally doing the same thing. Well, I wouldn't say
I'm
even
not hating. I like
the
same thing. It kind of reminds me of.
No, you're just. I mean, the validation is on Twitter because those people on Twitter are just.
She's Wendy Williams and not looking at.
And when one person says it, they're gonna make
it's an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber.
It's the interactions. It's like, oh, let me see it. Doesn't make that true.
I'm not gonna go into detail about how I feel about NXT because I feel like I did that in the last episode. If you guys listened, but it's the same thing I said before. To Santana's point, it's just if it was there was a point during that Joe Gacy guys in like promo where they put the lights and like the NXT logo was like gold and purple. And, like even if they went with solid colors like that, it would have been okay. It's just there's too many colors, and it comes off Nickelodeon, Disney, that type of vibe. It's hard to take things serious in the show because the
just don't change the title.
Before we're done, I just do want to say that it does make me appreciate the Seth Rollins and the Kevin Owens and of course the Four Horsewomen.
Yeah,
that built something that I don't feel like is gonna keep going. But at least I can say I appreciate it for so long because Adam Cole and Shayna Baszler and Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano and Rhea, they continued on. It's almost like the first and second class of NXT is now running Raw and SmackDown. Bianca, Rhea, Charlotte, Sasha, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. These are people. NXT built the future of the WWE now, and that's the only thing that I can still be grateful for. And the best thing going is Mandy Rose, and I will keep saying that.
Toxic attraction stuff.
Yeah,
I will say, like, it does remind me of very early NXT, like 2012, 13 NXT, introducing new characters we've never seen and letting us get it. Like, there was a point, you got to remember, like, this reminds me of, like, we don't know Braun Breaker and we don't know how these people are being introduced stuff. But there was a point when I was watching NXT in the early days that we didn't know who Big E was. We didn't know who Bray Wyatt was. We didn't know who Sasha and Charlotte when we got introduced to their characters and we were okay with it. I think the thing that got lost in translation is that at some point NXT, and I don't know if I explained this on the Patreon exclusive or on last week's episode, but at some point NXT was that development thing that introduces new characters and we got to know a bunch of new people, to it almost became WWE's own independent company where they were hiring independent stars that a lot of people already knew, and we were fucking happy to see them. They're like, Shinsuke's here, Adam Cole's here, Bobby Fish is here, like these are and I think they're going back to being like, no. We're just gonna start introducing new stars again. Let's stop trying to make this the indie company of WWE. That's not the game plan anymore. We're gonna make this back to what NXT was originally, and it feels like that because we're getting these vignettes of the Italian guy being the Italian guy, and we're getting the vignettes of the guy pretending to be a professor in a school, and everybody's got these loud characters, and that's what NXT was at the beginning. Like Sasha was a boss, and Bray was a cult leader, and Seth was a mosh pit guy, and Big E's the count to 5, and everybody had like these crazy characters that we were getting introduced to. And I think that's where they're at. But once again, my issue with it, at least then, the fans, to Santana's point, the fans were a lot louder because it's in Full Sail. And to the presentation of it all was just a little bit more subtle. They're doing the same thing and it's cool. Like the content of it is cool. And they're having people like Mandy Rose come down there and work with them the same way they had Tyson Kidd and other people in Natalia down there in the early days of NXT come down there. They're doing the same thing. It's just the presentation of it is just a little bit of a headache. And then it's like a mixture of like really silly shit. Like I know a lot of people love it, but this whole Johnny Gargano, Candice stalking Indy and Dexter is just, it's like, it's very mid 90s, would have been fun. I mean, like, you know, like when you used to watch Full House and you thought it was fucking hilarious and now you go watch Full House and like, wow, that was really cheesy. That's what that feels like. Wrong? No comment?
Moving on to the draft, because
yes, let's get to the big stuff.
Booming first of all, the Hurt business is back.
Yes, how could we not be? How could you not be excited about that? Pleading. After Twitter went into shambles, after they first broke them up, for what reason? I don't even think we got the answer for it and whatnot. But I just
how long are they gonna be together though? So we can't even celebrate. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like we have to like be happy in a sense of like, oh my god, they
literally through the draft separated the New Day again after them getting back together.
Well, which we knew that was going to happen because they only put them together for that time. Yeah. Just tell me when I'm allowed. Then we can move on. Whatever you want to talk about.
The only thing I want to say about Bobby Lashley, Big E, and that whole situation. I'm happy Big E's champion. I'm going to give Santana the floor for a second, but there's one thing that really bothered me a couple of weeks ago that I never got to talk about, and I want to say it on here, is they did the whole thing where the Bloodline came to Raw. That was last week, not this week, but last week, and they did the whole 6-man tag that ended in a non-finish because Lashley came out and just kicked everybody's ass. Cool. Lashley stood tall at the end, right? And I know there's an argument here, and I know this can go either way, and it's polarizing. You can either disagree with me or agree with me, but I personally believe that it was the stupidest thing to have Roman Reigns standing tall at the end of fucking Raw. It should have been Big E. If that's his fucking show now, I get like Roman pinned Bobby, no big deal. He didn't pin Big E. Big E should have stood tall at the end. Even if Roman won and Big E knocked his ass out after, Big E should have been standing tall at the end of that episode of Raw if we want people to take him fucking seriously. That's my only opinion about that. I was mad about that. I remember I wasn't watching it live. You guys were all watching Clubhouse. I had to go leave and do something. I was like, wait a minute. Roman won? And they ended Raw with Roman standing tall when he's like the SmackDown guy? Are you trying to say Big E's like your second? Like, I don't give a fucking rat's ass if he lost or if it ended in no finish. At the end of the show, Big E should have been fucking the one standing tall on Monday Night Raw. That's my only complaint. Before we get to the women, I'm going to give Santana a couple of minutes to touch on this whole feud she's been having on my Instagram page. And we're going to go over today, guys. We're going to go over an hour, but we had a lot to catch up on. But how do you feel about fans that say that Big E isn't being taken, or Big E's not being serious enough as a world champion? He's still being goofy. He's still having fun. He's still humping the air and dancing down to the ring with his friends. How do you feel about Big E not being a serious enough champion?
Only thing I'm going to say is be on the lookout for my article that I'm going to be dropping really soon. And I'm going to lay everybody who came from me in the comment section in that video with Roman Reigns and Big E and Bobby Lashley, and how I said that, oh, why does Big E have to be taken seriously to be a champion, and how y'all Attitude Era fans be killing me with that. Oh, I'm getting in y'all ass for real. Like, y'all already know what time it is. I let y'all have y'all little moments. I included y'all in the article, everything that y'all said. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off with the first introduction is the title itself gonna piss you off. The introduction is gonna make you like, is this girl really serious? And then I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know what it is. So forth and so forth. But I just feel as if, like, why do we always have to get the same champion every time? Why? It like I said, even a serious gimmick gets stale eventually. Roman Reigns is getting stale to me. Without Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns would be stale. Not even the Usos could save him. I'm just being honest. Like, if Roman at some point, Roman gets stale to me. In the beginning when he came back, yeah, it was cool. It's first time seeing Roman actually tap into this heel mode that he is in now. And to have Paul Heyman on his side, the guy who was with Brock Lesnar and seeing this whole feud transpire and everything like that, I liked it in the beginning. The only reason why I still like it now is because of Paul Heyman.
He's the most interesting part of that, and seeing babyface Brock winking at
yeah, seeing babyface Brock look like he's been chopping meat all day.
Yeah, ponytail Brock, I'm with it. But no, we don't need Big E to be Roman Reigns. We don't need. It's okay for him to. And I don't want to spoil your article or anything. Where can they find it? Women's Wrestling Talk? Because that will be published.
No, it's going to be on the Culture Commentator. Yeah, it's going on my website, because I don't have no relationship with nobody.
Yeah.
So meaning that whatever I say is what I mean.
So I'll definitely promote that too. Now that it's been talked about on here, I'll definitely share it too. So guys, be on the lookout on my stories and on my Instagram page. But I don't want to jump to any like spoilers of the article, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct, because we did have a conversation about it, even though I had no idea what the fuck was going on at the time. Santana asked us for people that were also champions that had a little bit of, a comedic side to them, and there is a handful of them, and she's gonna point them out. So Big E's not the only champion that's ever like had a little bit of a comedic side to him in a sense of.
Yeah, and they argue in the comments about that too, and I'm like, what do you mean? I know for one, I bring up Kurt Angle. They were saying that, oh, well, Kurt Angle didn't have no goofiness going on and whatnot. Even if he did when he got in the ring, that him being an Olympic gold medalist could back that up. Okay, look at Big E. This is I would be terrified of a man standing up dancing around me. I don't know what he could do. I am afraid.
And I think that's the part that people aren't seeing about Big E, because they're so used to him being silly and having fun and looking like he's enjoying himself, which we should be happy to see someone enjoying themselves. But it is true. Every time Big E, when the bell rings, like Big E's like a scary
ready to go
dude that's gonna kick your ass. Like he's not a threat because he's having fun before the bell rings. He does
a lot of things in the ring, and Big E is so athletic. He's done a lot. He's had some amazing spots in the ring since the beginning, when he held the NXT title at one point, and he was a heel, but it didn't connect with the audience.
When he was a Continental Champion, didn't connect with the audience.
It didn't, but now with him holding this title, it connects with the audience. He's had the same gimmick that Kofi Kingston had, but I get the difference. Kofi Kingston's a little guy. Okay, cool.
And there was a story. I will say the Kofi thing was different because there was a little bit more of a story there with him. Mm-hmm. We fucked with him for a longer period of time. He was there for like 12 years.
And he deserved to have his moment.
And they built a story with that when it was against Bryan. I do feel like the cash-in felt kind of spontaneous.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we're just gonna do it. That was the only thing. Like if they built Big E's cash-in just a little bit more, I think we would have felt the same way we felt about Kofi with it. It just did happen real fast, but everyone's happy it happened. So it's just the buildup was that's not Big E's fault. That's a WWE fault.
That is, because they told him to to let him know that he was going to cash it in. I feel like if he didn't let us know, then I still feel some significance behind it. He's the fourth Black WWE champion we've had. If for those who want to include The Rock, like I always say, this is the first time we ever had a Black wrestler take a title from another Black wrestler. And Bobby Lashley, like I said, he did his I honestly
in the men's division. I know.
And of course, obviously, we know we're talking about Bianca and we way past that. Okay. But as far as like with Big E and Bobby, they put on a really, really good match. Even the second time when they was in the cage match, it was really, really It was so good. When Bobby was champion, it was really good to see him go against Xavier Woods in the Hell in a Cell match. It was really good, and to know that we have black wrestlers who can give 5-star matches or whatever and really do their thing and actually be appreciated. But my thing is that if y'all can block out his goofy gimmick and actually pay attention to him when he actually speaks, he's serious. He don't be playing around. He don't play no games. He may sound like a preacher sometimes, but we already know his little background with his
preacher son,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when he does his promos holding that title last week or the week before, whatnot, I was like, I wanted to know what other people were going to say.
And he carries himself as a champion.
Exactly, but people are still arguing to me in the comments about why they think he wasn't not serious. And I'm like, baby, this happened 2 weeks ago. Don't worry, I'm gonna lay your ass out in a few minutes. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you that 5 channel.
Yeah, to that point, Lashley had a great reign. Mm-hmm. It didn't end as like sad as Kofi's kind of ended. Like it was a solid ending. It was a way to pass it to someone that was, deserving of it. Not that Brock's not deserving of it, but like that whole 25-second thing was bullshit. But other than that, like I want to talk about the women. I feel like we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about the women. I know Nikki's like waiting to talk about the women. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. And let's try to make it real quick. Like the finish of Finn and Roman at Extreme Rules. Quick opinion. For me, I get it. Only because I don't know how else they were gonna get out of that situation. I don't know how else they're gonna get. How else are we gonna make the demon lose? I didn't know.
I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I normally don't. I know that Brock is coming for what is his. I hope that Brock is the one. But I'm happy.
You want Brock to beat Roman?
I absolutely.
I never wanted that until I realized how much fun Brock's been having the last couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely. And I think that if you're gonna have Brock for what's rumored to be the longevity of what we're gonna have, he's gonna have to be a champion. I also think that Paul Heyman is working with Brock, especially the way that he said Brock Lesnar's name on Friday, which I'm really ecstatic about that. I do not think that Roman comes back from the States the champion. But to the point, the match with him and Fiend was Fiend, Balor, Buller. It was pleasing to the audience. That's what I'll say. I don't know what everybody else was expecting. The fish flop was hilarious. Good acting. He deserves an Oscar for that. And that's about it. He's a filler. I don't care what he's done for the company. I don't care what credibility he has. I don't give a shit what's going on. He was a filler match. Great match. But he was a filler. I'm curious, just like I said about Ruby Riott earlier, I'm curious to see what's next for someone like him as well. Like, where does he go from here?
Yeah,
but great ending.
There's been great talent that we knew was never going to actually beat Roman, but we knew that he needed people to face. And unfortunately, those were the people like Finn and Cesaro and even Kevin Owens, unfortunately, which sucks because I would have actually loved Kevin Owens to beat him, but even he was.
But Kevin doesn't want to be champ, so that's like that makes me feel a little bit.
I mean, I think we all feel like Kevin's on.
But Kevin has given him his best feud.
Kevin's gonna be all elite by like February.
Like he's given him his best feud. I feel.
No, he did. He gave Roman 2 of his best matches from this title reign at the Rumble. Really did. Yeah, like those are 2 of Roman's best matches since he's been champion. But Santana, any thoughts? I just think they had no other way out. They had to make the demon lose, and they had to make it seem like it was because they tried to keep the demon strong. But oh my God, the rope broke, and that's what cost them the match.
But my thing is that they didn't really go into details as to who really messed up the ropes, though. You know what I'm saying? They didn't say anything about like what happened. I mean, I was here for the whole thing. Finn, he one of my other baby daddies too. So I was just like, the match was good. It really was. I was just like, okay. I was here for the whole, his song playing and whatnot, and him like going in Super Saiyan mode or whatever. And then we get a rope thing malfunction or whatever, and I'm like, okay, that's it, that's done. And I was like, well, here we are. Now we move forward and we go over to Roman hopefully losing this title to Brock Lesnar. Like I said, who like he been chopping meat all day, all week. But you know what? If Brock wins and he keeps his goofy gimmick that he has, I want to see how people gonna react to that. Because right now he has this silly little goofy gimmick that he got going a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's kind of loving it, having fun. Yeah. Brock is having fun.
He winked at the camera.
Now Brock wins his title and he's still having fun. I want to see how many people are going to say, "Oh, we need the Beast Brock back." I want to see how many people want to get. If I don't see that, I am causing violence. Okay, I am a full-blown heel. I am coming for everybody that say something positive about Brock Lesnar having this comedic jumping around, all smiles gimmick, and saying he's a free agent.
All you in the comments,
all of you, it ain't even a warn. I'm letting you know it's happening.
She said it's official.
It's happening. Make the match. Me against everybody in the wrestling classes comment section because it's really going down.
For real. Love you.
They do. I swear, every time I make a comment, they always come for me. Like I said, I wanted to be that turnbuckle that Big E was grinding on, and like, boom. Everybody's like, "You want to be a turnbuckle? You want to be the watermelon?" I'm like, "Do you want to be the watermelon? Do you want to take turns being a turnbuckle? Like, what do we want to do? Why are the men mad at me because I said I want to be a turnbuckle or because I want to be a watermelon?"
You know what else is happening? The Boss, the Blueprint, the Standard, the GOAT, the Boba Fett, DDT, Mandalorian, starring SB winning.
The one who doesn't stay long.
Multiple-time women's champion.
How long is she going to stay?
You're talking about someone who has been. Can we talk about someone who's been drafted? You've been saying she's back for the past 3 months.
Stay, though. She's not even in that match with Bianca.
She's leaving and coming back. Like that.
And that's what makes it like honest to God. And you know I love this woman, but if we're being real, this is not a comeback. It's not like how she came back the last time. This is just, oh my God, Sasha's back. She's gonna have to, in order for this time to really make it stick.
Are you saying she's Cody Rhodes?
She's gonna have to stay.
It's not.
I love the fact that she's back, but ask that girl how that boot felt to the face because the queen back on the blue brand, baby.
Charlotte leaves a lot of them back.
Okay? But Charlotte has still been consistent since she's
at the end of the day
throughout the WrestleMania.
At the end of the day,
love fest aside, we've talked about a lot in the clubhouse rooms and stuff too. I do feel like Sasha's heart is not as into it as it once was. I do feel like we've had this conversation. I think she feels like she's accomplished everything she can accomplish. She's interested in things outside of WWE. I don't think she's going to go to any other wrestling company. I think she's a WWE lifer, but she has interest outside of WWE. And I just feel like there's other things playing factors as well. Like, I don't know if it's injuries or if it's the anti-vax thing, but there's things that are holding her back from being able to be fully present there. But it's not that she even cares, to be honest, that much. I think she's okay with being like, well, I'm not cleared. I can't. Okay, cool. Like, I think what happened after she took that 4 or 5 month break in 2019 after that WrestleMania is she realized how comfortable she is being off the road and just doing other things than having to be on the. Because I don't, to be honest with you, everyone always talks about how miserable Sasha is when you meet her in person. For a lot of people that are miserable in the WWE, a lot of that comes from them just not enjoying the road life. They don't enjoy being on the road. They don't like going hotel to hotel. They don't like seeing fans everywhere. And I think she might be one of those people. She loves what she does. But man, if she could get hooked up with one of those part-time deals that like Brock Lesnar and Edge has, she'd fucking love that even more.
Oh, definitely. I feel like
but isn't she almost part-time for 2021 where she was full-time for 2020? But let's be honest, we've all agreed and we've talked about this in Clubhouse. Sasha and Bayley definitely held down the pandemic.
110%.
But
now we have Bayley out, and it's almost like we still didn't get Sasha and Bianca as that spectrum. We're still not gonna get Sasha. We don't know, like, and this is just my prediction. I think Becky's probably gonna go to Raw. I do think Sasha's probably gonna go to Raw too, but I don't think she's gonna miss out on being a first round draft pick, if that makes sense. I think right now all 4 horsewomen besides Bayley are in, and they're in. So Bianca,
if I can make a bold prediction, I feel like Becky's gonna get drafted to Raw as a first round pick, and Sasha's on Raw this upcoming Monday. I think. Let's hear me now. Becky gets drafted to Raw. That's who they're gonna pick. Mm-hmm. And Sasha's gonna get drafted to SmackDown. That's gonna be their first pick for the women on that
probably
side.
Yeah, I do too.
I would have been more with what you're saying if Bianca wasn't shockingly drafted to Raw.
That's exactly what I was just saying, though. I said my opinion is Sasha should be drafted to Raw. I just don't think that they're going to miss out on the opportunity of having the 4 horsewomen be drafted in the top pick besides Bayley, and that includes Bianca at the moment because she's almost the alternative. That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason why I feel like Sasha's going to stay on SmackDown, because of the legitimacy of the first round picks, which we all saw who was the first woman to be drafted, who is also carrying a title, which I know everyone out there is pretty upset.
No, but I agree with you, because I say this, as much as like Sasha's my favorite, I know her flaws. One of them is that she gives me no love, but she has a lot of other flaws. And but I will
thank you, Sheamus.
I will always like, and everyone knows this. I'm like, it's always Sasha, but everyone's like, who's like your number 2? And for me, it's Charlotte Flair, because I'm like, she is the bar. Everybody needs to beat Charlotte Flair. Like, even if you want to go through the 4 horsewomen, who's the last one you go through? Charlotte's the last one. You can switch around who you go through with Becky, Bayley, Sasha first, but Charlotte has to always be the last one.
I think it should be Sasha first. Only because
I don't have an order for that. I just know Charlotte.
Well, I feel like it should be only because, and I say this to credit Sasha, she's the one of all of them that I feel like, if we're going to be honest, to say started the mold of the 4 horsewomen in NXT. Bayley would be next. I think
she came in with the biggest chip on her shoulder.
She did. And I think before you meet the boss, you got to meet the man. Yeah. So I think it's Becky, it's Sasha, Bayley. You see Sasha, you see Bayley, then you go see the man, then you go see the queen. And then that's just how it is, because Bianca's obviously going to be prepared for what Charlotte is going to give her, because Charlotte has a 1 on Bianca back in her home in NXT. So that's already there. I personally think that the big question for Monday night is, where does this leave the Raw Women's title if we already know what they're promoting for Saudi? We already know Sasha's probably going to walk out. It's literally at a 98.9% at this point, because obviously Bianca's on Raw.
No, and I feel like Sasha walking out with that belt, and I'm so ready for it, because we haven't had it since like 2016. So
well, but my
Sasha
thing
walks out with that belt in the following SmackDown, we get Charlotte confronting Sasha again. I'm fucking with it. But
I don't know. I just think it's pointless if you have Becky and Bianca who are drafted. If they are drafted both to Raw, you have the Raw women, like 2 people on Raw fighting for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and it's only Sasha that's from SmackDown. That's an obvious.
No, they tend to.
No one wants to see this triple threat. We obviously want to see Becky and Sasha again, but we obviously want to see Bianca and Sasha again, but Becky's the.
And they left Bianca and Sasha 1-1 now. They had what should have been the SummerSlam match on SmackDown, and with the help of Becky, Sasha won, so now we're 1-1. Huh?
What should have been, or what should have been, because Becky's interference was pointless. Like, you held onto her hair. Why y'all keep touching her hair? What's wrong with her?
I don't want to go there. this week.
But you can say that this time first, she didn't do
touching her hair.
They are.
So
leave it alone, man. When she started using it,
at least the queen waited until the match was ceased. That's all I'm doing.
Let me ask you, because Nickie brought up a good question. What happens to the Raw Women's title? And we'll probably find out this Monday. The only person I feel like they've really been building up on Raw, now that Alexa's taking some time off, is it Shayna Baszler that's fighting Charlotte?
Or Asuka?
Is it Shayna Baszler that's fighting Charlotte in Saudi? Or will Shayna be part of the tournament?
Shayna's a part of the tournament. I think Asuka. Asuka's gonna make a pop in Saudi. She has to. She's global. If you're gonna do women in Saudi and you don't include the Empress of Tomorrow, I don't care what she's doing. You had Natty and Lacey Evans do a match, which was great for them, because I love Natty. I have no comment on Lacey Evans, but I'll just say, to that point, you have to have someone on a caliber who deserves to have that. And everyone knows Asuka had one of the biggest pops at Money in the Bank, including Naomi. So what happens to the title?
Is she still hurt though?
Now, I don't know.
Who, Asuka? I think I don't know if she's hurt and whatnot. I think the last thing they said something was like her shoulder or something. But other than that, I don't think she hasn't said much lately since she put her head on Charlotte's body. So
That's hilarious. She's been trolling. I do want to say before we get done with the Charlotte talk, I am doing an article, top 5 Charlotte Flair matches, coming out next week for Women's Wrestling Talk. So make sure you check that out. And of course, I'm really excited about your article. You already know what's going on. I think it's going to shake the table, and I think it's very necessary. And I think it's going to cover a lot of issues that we see with Black superstars pertaining to the mold and how very stereotypical, and how Black superstars are under a microscope. They tried to do this with Bianca, as we see. So I think it's going to be a really great.
They was complaining about Bianca always skipping down at the ramp, like as if when she was a heel, she been doing the same shit. She was skipping down the goddamn ramp when she was a heel.
That was a thing. You're right. If you remember,
she was skipping always. That's her. Yeah,
thing. Why do they come at them like? Why are they being silly? Like
I don't understand what it is, but I promise you, if there was, I'm not trying to make it a race thing or whatever, but it was a white wrestler that was jumping, well, not humping, but jumping.
I don't hear many people coming after Becky for dressing the way Becky's dressing.
No, Becky is dressed like she back in the 1980s cultural program with this.
And people love what Seth is wearing and everything. Seth
exactly, they're all dressed. They're all getting dressed by Black men. No shade to King Troy because I like him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been killing the game with Charlotte. I can't even hold you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's with.
I hope he likes that suit. I love that suits, no matter how loud and crazy they are. Like,
yeah,
he's been having Charlotte.
I think it has a lot to do with comfortability, and a lot of people just don't. And not to make it like you said, not to make it a race thing, but there are certain fans who don't want to see Black champions. Like, look how long we've had Bobby Lashley. Even though I think like he does cater to a white like he can cater to a white demographic more than maybe
a heel.
I think I think Bobby was like what they expect all the Black champions.
Very much so. He was very stern.
He wore the suits. He like portrayed a good image and shit. And then
he did. He was a very Triple H champion when Triple H was very Evolution. He reminded me.
MVP is like the Ric Flair to what.
Absolutely, but not to knock, because I do think Bobby has had one of the greatest reigns in history, and I think it will go down as a very a reign that just benefited a brand that was needed. And such Bobby Lashley literally meant what I feel like what people thought Drew McIntyre meant to Monday Night Raw. Just to be honest. And that's why Drew's going on.
I'm so happy that Drew's on SmackDown. That was one of my predictions.
Me too.
My draft predictions that I did for that hashtag show. 2 of them came true already. I said Drew to SmackDown and Charlotte to SmackDown. Those have already happened. If Becky, Seth go to Raw and AJ gets drafted to SmackDown, then all my predictions are right. But
I think you're right about the AJ, because you do remember 17 and 18 we had the most powerful brand, and that was SmackDown, and that included Charlotte and AJ Styles.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and I said it in that video, if you guys haven't seen, I'm like, I genuinely forget that AJ Styles is on Raw sometimes, and that's a bad thing. Forget about
his
AJ
brand though. SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles.
But before we get off Charlotte, I want to say this, like, because I do want to talk about I think it is really cool that they're doing a crown. What's it called? The women's Crown. The Queen's Crown tournament. I'm really happy they're doing that. I don't know why they just call it a Queen of the Ring if they're doing a King of the Ring, but Queen's Crown tournament, cool. Outside of Shayna, because I think we all agree like Shayna winning would be cool, but I still do personally think it's going to be Shayna and Charlotte at Saudi, just the way they've been building up Shayna breaking people's arms. Charlotte, so that makes you wonder who.
I don't think Charlotte's going to even.
Charlotte's not going to be in that.
I don't think she's been very vocal about.
She's going to lose the belt on Raw to Shayna, but she's going to. I feel like she has to lose that belt before.
I don't think she's going to be in the
begins after Saudi Arabia show. The draft is in effect. So
but I don't think that she's going to be in the competition at all. So let's just say
no. But I think that she's going to defend that championship against Shayna. My thing I'm saying is I think that Charlotte's going to drop that belt to Shayna. That being said, if we take that into consideration, though, who outside of Shayna, who else do you think would win this tournament?
I think it should be Asuka or Naomi.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't think that it has to be. I would love for it to be Natty. I'm always rooting for Natty whenever it comes to tournaments because I think she's a legend, and I think that she's sometimes overlooked, even with her being a tag team champion. I don't give a damn about your face, Justin.
I'm not making
it up.
I love Natty.
But if I had to pick three, please be respectful of your country. If I had to pick three, it would be Natty, Naomi, and Asuka.
Okay, Santana, who else? If it's not Shayna, once again, because I think with my prediction that Shayna is going to be fighting Charlotte at some point for that women's title, outside of Shayna, who else do you think could win this tournament?
I don't know. I believe that definitely I would love to see Naomi, but I feel like Sonya will find a way to not allow Naomi to be a part of it in some kind of way. She's going to find a way to get Naomi to not be a part of it. Or she'll cause it in some kind of way, and then that builds a feud for them that needs to go ahead and get started. Secondly, I would probably say maybe that a little newcomer come in like Toni Storm.
You read my mind. That's what I was going to say.
Maybe a Toni Storm. And then
lastly, drafted on Monday, someone that's new.
Yeah, like, maybe Tony, will be somewhere in there. I just need them to kind of
Queen Kai.
Dakota Kai. I mean, she hasn't been drafted yet.
I don't like that at all. Maybe Aaliyah. Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll throw the limb to Aaliyah. She just she just talked to Kayla in the back after she got drafted on Talking Smack.
Or it could go to Aaliyah.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Or it could go to Carmella. Carmella could be
Carmella. You want to be
you never pick Carmella.
Can you imagine Carmella getting the crown put on her head with that mask on?
Yeah. I don't think I hope she doesn't have the mask on. Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, at this point, there's nothing that you're designing this Queen of the Ring thing around. It would make sense for the Queen of Spades to win. But who's to say that this could go down to anyone? What the most important question of this tournament should be is, are you gonna do something with the winner? Are you gonna do something with the person who has fought in the tournament? Are you gonna build feuds in the tournament? Can this be a start? Or are we limited because we're in Saudi? Because I don't know how it works in Saudi. I remember watching pay-per-views in Saudi. We didn't even have the women, and they didn't even travel. Things are changing, as we saw with Lacey and Natalya. So there's more questions to me that pertain to the conclusion and the conception of the match and the objectives of the match versus the overall winner, because they're honestly it's almost like they have Shayna eliminating competitors. If that makes sense. Yeah,
like Nia
Charlotte has no increase there if she has to lose this belt before going to SmackDown, though.
Nia could win it too,
I was gonna say Nia is someone. I do agree with Naomi. I think the story for Naomi makes sense because that's just gonna piss Sonya off more. But I do also see Sonya trying to pull her out of it. But Naomi needs something because like they're doing something, but she needs something, and this could be it. And she deserves to win something like this. It could be Liv because they have this weird fascination with Liv since before the Money in the Bank to try to push her as a single star. And they always love letting Mela just win things for the sake of letting Mela win things. And I love Mela, so I'm not complaining about it, but she's won the women's title. She's won the Money in the Bank. She's won the Battle Royal.
2-time Money in the Bank.
Yeah, she's won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania. Like, it's like, if they have nobody else, it's like, well, fuck, just give it to Carmella. And I'm okay with it. So,
hell, they may throw Vega up in there some kind of way.
That is it. Sometimes they're like, well, you know what? Carmella's here.
Yeah. You made a tweet about that. Sasha doesn't show up. I'm here. Like, it's true. Yeah. Like
I mean,
they always have her in mind. She's always constantly booked, like consistently. Yeah. So it could.
I hope it is someone who hasn't had a lot going on. Dakota Kai is not a wrong pick. I just think that.
And there's women that haven't been shown enough love, like Shotzi and Tegan.
It could be Rhea
that are on this thing. Yeah, Rhea. Yeah. Is Rhea coming out in a cape next week? Like, what's happening?
Absolutely not.
Is she? Is that rumor?
Well, Nikki's like they're gonna start dressing alike. And
they should get matching outfits. Not matching outfits, but like, matching in some kind of way, since they are.
As long as Rhea is in the picture or something, doing something, I feel like that's beneficial. However, I will say, how long do we go with the whole like, the superhero or Nightmare running the tag division? Are we gonna see, anything else? Like they've struggled with those tag team women titles on NXT and on Raw and SmackDown. So what are we getting out of this besides merch? Maybe
maybe a little merch, but I feel as if like with NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, we ain't seen Io and Zoe since they did that whole promo whatever segment they was doing inside of
they had a match, but they won the titles, and I thought that they were going to transition. The problem with NXT right now is you could have easily transitioned your titles to Frankie and Toxic Attraction. And you can put the titles on Toxic Attraction. There's no issue with that. Let a women's faction run.
Do you see that happening? Mandy winning the main women?
Absolutely, because obviously they're not going with Frankie. So whatever going on there, like my thing is Raquel could have been called up and Io could have been called up.
And Raquel can get beat by losing by the numbers game with the other.
Yeah, I mean, like it wouldn't hurt her or anything like that,
Raquel's going over,
and Mandy Rose is no top liver. Mandy Rose has gotten better over the years, and she can go.
Yeah,
I know she's like,
Mandy's always been pretty hard to
in the ring, but like she can go. Right?
Who can go?
Mandy.
Yeah, Mandy has always been a really great wrestler. Like she always has been. It just wasn't clicking with, what I guess what WWE wanted. That's why she's back down in NXT. I feel like since she's been in NXT, she's changed her entire look. She's bringing something with the women's division, and starting with having her own little faction, which she started out being in one with Absolution, with Paige and Sonya. Now she's owning her own with these two newcomers who could have their own, who could have all the gold and could be running the show with the women's division. So then it gives the tag team title something to look forward to. It gives the women's title something forward to, and it also opens doors to give her some competition with like a Frankie or Lash Legend or Elektra or who else? Just any other newcomer that they have coming up there. It could bring Ember Moon back into the picture in some kind of way, to give some type of relevancy and credibility to someone who's a vet of NXT. So it really just like, what are they going to do with it? They're actually building them up. So are you building them up just to be building them up, or are you building them up to get titles on them and see how they work as being champions and maneuvering on around in the women's division? And I really wanted Io to go up to the main roster because I feel like Io is ready for that. She's accomplished all that she can accomplish down in NXT. It's time to see her on the main roster with some of the other NXT girls who she has wrestled with in the past, has had feuds with in the past, and see how they cross each other on here. Her and Shayna, her and Bianca, her and Rhea. So even her going against Charlotte, her and Sasha could definitely put on a match together.
Yeah, her and Sasha have unfinished business.
A Great American Bash match was great.
So it's so many things you could do with Io. With Raquel, you can bring her up. Her and Rhea could have something. I know her and Dakota Kai. I mean, they have their own unfinished business going on. And then we could have maybe Raquel, Charlotte, Raquel and Becky, Raquel and Shayna. Who like just it's so many different things that you can do with bringing up these girls to the main roster and wrestling and putting on great shows, great matches, great storytelling. It just all depends on like what they plan on doing.
And to that point, like to the point I made at the beginning though, like I do think like for a very long time Mandy was presented as like a sex symbol or just a hot blonde, and now with this darker hair and this look and with these girls, there's like a little bit of like there's still sex appeal there. She's still a sex symbol, but that's like there's this grittiness to her that I believe that she could win that belt with the help of these women and like be like that sneaky heel. And to everything you just said, to literally everything you just said, and this goes back to what we were saying an hour ago. I like when I think about the WWE, like and I'm a male fan that grew up watching men's wrestling majority of the time because that's what we have. If you ask me about the women's wrestling in the early 2000s, I don't like. I can tell you who were champions. I can't tell you who beat who did what. But now when I watch WWE, like the things I look forward to the most is like, oh, let's see what Roman's doing, because like I am as much as it is getting a little bit stale, I'm intrigued with what Roman's doing, and that may be part of like the whole Heyman storyline for sure. And it's always about the women. I really give a fuck about the women's wrestling in WWE. Yeah, I still want to talk about like how weird it's gonna be to have Bianca on. Like it's just there's something they've done women's wrestling right with the WWE, and if you guys aren't like
they're stars.
Like yeah.
They're stars. They've made stars. We're literally like, and I'm not the huge.
I love Randall. I love AJ Styles. I love Randall. I love AJ Styles. I love Seth Rollins. I love Edge. These are all guys I grew up loving and watching, and like some of my I love Kevin Owens. These are some of my favorite wrestlers. But here I am spending the last like 20 minutes. We're talking about Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, Mandy, like because they did something here that worked.
I agree. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like when we speak of, you know, I know we talk about how Bianca's run on Raw the first time, it wasn't that great because she had the whole thing with Zelina and Andrade and Angel and the Street Profits thing going on with her. And Zelina had little matches of one. After that, Bianca was cutting videos every week about how she was athletic and all this and that, you know what I'm saying, wanting an opportunity some type of way. So she got her opportunity when she got sent over to SmackDown. And then as soon as she touched SmackDown, she was booming. Like she was on this, like it was like a rocket ship behind her, and she was just been up ever since. So I'm curious to see how all of that happened on SmackDown is going to transpire on Raw once the draft goes into effect, and who will be on Raw with her. Because I mean, if they don't move Shayna, there's something there. If they don't move, well, Rhea's still going to be on Raw, so I mean, something there. But I just don't want them to put Bianca in no tag team. That's something I don't want to do. I don't want them to go down that road of feeling like every singles competitor got to be put in the tag team. It just doesn't need to be that.
I will say I'm a little nervous for Bianca, since we don't know where Sasha's going. We don't know where Becky's going. We have ideas. I don't think that she is a US network kind of superstar. I feel like she could have easily stayed there with Charlotte. And that would have been nice to see. But if she doesn't have a title, how quick is she about to get this title? Because if we're leaving what Charlotte has been doing on Raw, because God forbid she's been saving the title at this point. If you're not going to go to someone like Bianca, what are you going to do? Like Becky loses at Saudi and then wins, like shows up and wins or whatever. Like there's just so much. One thing that I can say is I've never felt so confused from just one night of drafting, where literally we have, like, as of right now, both of the women's titles are on one brand. So it's almost like, what's going on? Which, of course, I mean, some of us would say, oh, they're going to draft Becky to the Raw. But what if they don't? And even if they do, are we going to see the titles just like, oh, here's this, here's that, and then Bianca beat the shit out of Becky?
Which is so tough with these titles because they're color based.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I honestly feel like that once everything is set into stone, Sasha Banks will be the SmackDown Women's Champion. She will be drafted to Raw, or something's going to happen. I don't know, but this is my thing. If Sasha Banks is drafted to SmackDown and she wins the SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair is the current Raw Women's Champion, but she's drafted to SmackDown, Charlotte's not going to have that title. There's no way. Like, so it just leaves so much. There's so
much to figure out. So
like,
many questions.
Bianca more questions honestly should be the one. I'm hoping and I'm praying that on Monday, Bianca comes to her show and she tells Charlotte, you want to play games. You want to show up. You want to run your mouth. I'm at the last leg of you 4 horsewomen. I'm taking what's mine tonight. and she goes into Saudi as the Raw Women's Champion. So she ain't got to worry about losing because she's already the champion. Does that make sense?
Yo, that would be sick. I never thought of that. Like Bianca could just challenge.
Bianca goes into Bianca goes into Saudi as the Raw Women's Champion. That way,
and that's just Bianca Charlotte won, so there is always room for the rematch.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is that what if, Becky? She's already been talking about how she didn't lose that Raw Women's title, and how she's already want to be 2 belts Becky again. So what if she be like, if Bianca does win and she does have that Raw Women's title, and then Becky say, I see you got the title that I never lost. Why don't we put that on the line as well?
Or it can even go as far as Becky loses that belt in Saudi. Yeah. The Monday after Saudi Arabia, Charlotte shows up being like, I'm still the champion of this show, by the way. And then challenges her and then loses Charlotte. And then Becky just starts as champion on Raw. And then Bianca's the first challenger again until someone else gets involved, like Shayna or something. There's so many things. Yeah. Let's wrap this up very quickly. Monday, second night of the draft, last night of the draft. Obviously there'll be supplemental picks only, Raw talk or whatever after the fact. But 2 big moves you want to see happen on Monday for sure. One for the men, one for the women. We'll start off with you, Nicki. 2 big moves you want to see for sure.
Oh,
if you pick someone, then we can't pick the same people. Okay, that's the rule.
So if I'm gonna be honest, I want to see Sasha on Raw. Oh, wow. I do. I don't give a shit. I want to see her on Raw. I want her and Charlotte to be split up. For now. As far as the men, I might name somebody that's already been drafted, but that's so hard. I don't really care. I don't really care what happens with the men because at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to see whoever. I will say this, since I'm not picking anybody. I like that Austin Theory is back because he's been doing a lot of dark matches. I think he's a great competitor. And I love. Oh wait, AJ hasn't been drafted to SmackDown.
No.
Oh well, that's my pick. I'm sorry, that's my pick because
he's still on.
That's probably the only person I really care about if it's not Seth.
Do you think they're gonna only take AJ? Or they're gonna bring Omos as well?
I mean, I got what I want to draft. I've been preaching, y'all know, I've been preaching for months that Charlotte was going back to the blue brand with the boots. So I don't give a shit what happens with the men, but
we don't have time for that today. But that's a whole nother debate we can have next time. Of I don't know if Charlotte had her best time in the blue brand, but that's your belief. So
whatever. I don't care what you think.
Santana, you have 2 graphics you want to see on Monday. The 2 for sure.
Okay,
I want to say AJ and you can't say Sasha.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say them. I want to see Shayna go to SmackDown, and I want to see Shinsuke come to Raw.
Okay. Well, I definitely really want to see Seth go to Raw. I don't think Seth and Roman on the same show makes sense unless they face each other, and they're both bad guys, and we don't need that. And the name Monday Night Messiah just rolls way better off the tongue than anything else. And if he's still doing this shit, and not that he has to necessarily be a Messiah, but I don't know. I like Seth on Raw. That would be dope. And then as for the women, I can't say Sasha, I guess. So I really want, if Seth's going to Raw, I really want Becky to Raw too. I really want Becky to Raw. I just think I personally want Sasha and Charlotte to be on SmackDown and Becky and Bayley to be on Raw. They did throw a wrench in my whole situation with Bianca and Raw because I wanted Charlotte, Sasha, and Bianca all on SmackDown together, but yeah,
Sasha, Naomi, and Bianca on SmackDown together.
Bianca and Charlotte need to be away from each other as much as possible, unless it's a trend.
Unless they gear up for Survivor Series and Charlotte is the SmackDown Women's Champion and Bianca is the Raw Women's Champion, and that'll be the only thing that I would want to see happen.
Yeah,
and that's also me taking in consideration that Sasha Banks has somewhat become a part-timer. And she's not going to be there the whole time anyways. So
we'll go ahead and get comfortable.
Well, just enjoy her while you can.
I do every single time.
Thank you, Sheamus.
Thank you, Sheamus. Every single time I see Sasha, I enjoy it. Sasha, Carmella, girls. But other than that, guys, this was fun. Do you want to let people know where they can find you? And we'll wrap this up.
I'll go first because mine's shorter than the goat up there.
Me?
You guys can follow me.
No, she's not talking about you. Of course, she's talking about the real leader.
I am not talking about you. I'm talking about Santana.
The real leader.
You are just so
like, please stop. You're not even doing it right. It doesn't look good on you.
It doesn't.
Know that.
Anyway, you guys can find me on Instagram at Nickie Bougie. You can find me on Twitter. I believe it's Nickie_Bougie. I should know this. You can also catch some articles of mine on Women's Wrestling Talk. Check that out on the website. And yeah.
I guess I'll go next. The original Adam Cole is me. Of course, since we share the same birthday as usual anyway. But my name is Dhillon Santana. You can find me at Santana Muse on Instagram and at Dhillon on Twitter. I can't get my name on Instagram because somebody has it. Why? I don't know. But, it is what it is. You can catch me on Women's Wrestling Talk, doing interviews on there or sometimes doing the news. And you can also follow my own publication, The Culture Commentator, where I will be posting this Big E article for you, mother. Okay? Just so you know that I'm coming for y'all head. It's over with. Now I'm done.
And also, we did not announce, but we are the greatest tag team.
We are.
in
the greatest tag team.
Young Bucks, if you're listening, ketchup, no mustard.
All the way.
Ketchup, no mustard.
Ketchup, no mustard. No sour twist over here.
You guys know where to find me. I put the banner at the bottom if you're watching. So if you're listening, all the links are in my bio. Articles at 1:37 p.m. Dropped a couple this month. Podcast TWC Show every week. I haven't secured any interviews for this month. I don't know. I think the whole California trip threw me off, but I'll try to get a couple of interviews done this month. Even if it's with a couple of influencers or some local wrestlers, it'll be cool. But you can always check all my casual conversations if you're subscribed to the TWC Show in audio form, or if you are on YouTube, you can watch them. Sign up to the Patreon, guys. We're going to be doing more stuff for that. I'm going to start giving honest toy reviews about what I think about the toys that Rain City Toys has. And I'm not a collector, so I'll tell you the truth if something looks stupid. And a whole bunch of things we've been planning to do with that as well. And so make sure you guys check out the Patreon. Once again, all the links are in my bio. Follow that hashtag show on YouTube. Follow THS.wrestling. I want to get them to 2K. We're really close. There's a whole bunch of videos coming out with them soon. I appreciate you guys' your patience. This is a longer episode because we didn't drop an episode last week. We had a lot to catch up on. Like, we literally spent a good 45 minutes just on AEW and then another, 45 minutes plus on WWE because there was a lot to catch up on when we're talking about 2 weeks. So I do apologize for that. But if you stuck around, thank you. And, yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys want to join the Discord, we have one of those things too. Just hit me up. And TWCshop.com. If you guys want to buy some merch, Nickie's rocking it.
Get your shirt now. All colors.
Do you guys' thing. And you guys
mine's in the closet.
Yours is in the closet, I
mean, at least it's in the closet, you know what I'm saying?
It's not like thrown on the floor or under the bed or some shit.
Right. It could have, but it's not. At least put it on a hanger and hung it up nice for you.
Those that might not know, if we have Santana on here more often, you will soon find out that this is, you want to talk about frenemies.
I thought we were trifecta. We are all, disclaimer, we are all friends here.
We're all friends.
Nickie and I are friends.
And Nickie and Santana are tag partners.
Nickie's like the moral compass. She keeps
I am.
Yeah, this is why Nickie is Bobby Fish and I'm Adam Cole.
Yes, I'm Bobby Fish.
Yeah. And I'm Kyle O'Reilly, supposedly.
You figure out who you want to be.
You are definitely Kyle O'Reilly.
But that's all, folks. Keep doing the thing. Ooh, yeah, dig it. That's all right.